Missouri fighting a massive invasion. Total devastation.
Fans Not Experts Movie Month. It's my 6th year doing Movie Month. 30 movies, 30 days, 30 podcasts that you get to listen to. Fans Not Experts Movie Month. It's my 6th year doing Movie Month. 30 movies, 30 days, 30 podcasts that you get to listen to, including this one right here. But wait, one more time. Fans Not Experts Movie Month. It's my 6th year doing Movie Month. 30 movies, 30 days, 30 podcasts that you have the pleasure of listening to. An episode is about to start right now. An episode is about to start right now. The theme song is fading out because an episode is starting right now.
It is so nice out. Like, it is beautiful out. And I've already finished my movie. It is like 9:45 in the morning, and I've already watched today's movie. Now, it's probably going to be later in the day by the time you get this, just because of the amount of time it's going to take me to get this up, because we're heading to my in-laws today. But it's kind of related to the movie, because when I'm in my in-laws, I tend to hide in a one room, and I try to make as little sound as possible, because if you make a sound, all of a sudden my in-laws show up and start talking to you, and I'm looking to minimize that. I'm joking, sorta. We are going to my in-laws. I do tend to go find a corner to read or watch a TV show or something. But them approaching me is, it's fine, I guess. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. It's the 23rd of June, which means it's movie 23, and I am one of the last people to finally see A Quiet Place. Nice thing is, for this one, it's on Hulu. Easy to access, easy to get to, easy to watch. And I watched it this morning. What a simple premise for a movie. And it's tough when you're talking about a movie that's a couple years old. You can't bring anything new to it. If you've seen this movie, if you've listened to podcasts about this movie, I'm not going to deliver anything new. But I'm just going to talk about my opinion. And what I liked about this movie is the premise is so simple. You got these monsters, and they're attracted by sound. If you make a sound, they're going to come and kill you. That's the premise of the movie. But it was the execution and the performance of the actors that really, I think, elevated it and made it so successful, so well reviewed, such a good movie. The complete lack, or just almost complete lack, of dialogue in this movie. It was borderline a silent movie. You could watch this movie with the volume turned down almost through the whole thing. There is some talking, but for the most part, it's the action of the actors. It's the facial, just the reactions of the actors, the facial features. You know, the faces they make, the expressions, I should say. And when you're dealing with, quality actors, quality director, you're going to get a quality movie. John Krasinski, Jim from The Office. He has risen above Jim from The Office. I mean, you think of this goofy guy who likes to look in the camera and smirk. And now you see he's Tom Clancy on Amazon, and he's got this Quiet Place movie that's a big hit. And it looks like they're filming the sequel right now. Look, I'm going to spoil this movie, okay? It's already been out. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it. So stop watching. Or listening, because it's a podcast. And most of you didn't start listening in the first place. The majority of the world isn't listening to this, but you are, and I appreciate it. So the movie, just kind of, what I like is there's no origin. It just it smack dabs you, lands you smack in the middle of what is going on. It's day 89 of whatever's going on. You see this family in a pharmacy, and they're very quiet, and they're trying to get medicine for one of the kids. And there's a girl, a boy, and a younger boy. And the boy wants to get a toy. He almost drops the toy, and the sister catches it. And there's the mom and the dad, Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, real-life husband and wife. They leave the toy behind. They're like, you can't have the toy. There's batteries in it. It makes sounds. We already know the premise of the story, but it just kind of, this shows you how, it doesn't tell you, it just shows you, which I like. So the kid, was like, all right, no toy. But the big sister's like, here, just take the toy while everyone's walking away. And he's like, great. And then he goes for the batteries. And you're like, oh, that's not good. And they're walking home. They're walking home quietly on a bridge. All of a sudden, you hear John Krasinski's carrying the older boy because he's sick. All of a sudden, you hear the toy go on, and just a look of fear and panic on their faces. John Krasinski turns and runs straight for his son, who's holding this toy, who's lit up in noise. And before he can reach him, it looks like this giant spider creature just comes out of the woods and takes the kid. And I was like, holy shit, they just killed one of these kids, to start off. Okay, it's very windy out. It's beautiful out, but it's windy out. So I'm trying to use a tree to hide from wind. Maybe if I get closer to the house. I'm in the yard. So right away they kill off one of these kids, and it's like, holy moly, they are really going for it. And then it flash forwards to day 400 and something. So a year had gone by, and I don't know if this is any louder, whatever. A year had passed or thereabouts, and it just shows kind of where they are right now. They have this whole setup. They have a house. I'm sure they had all this before, but they have a house. They're quiet. They play a version of Monopoly they have with, things that they find around the house. They live, just kind of as quiet as possible. They sign language, and the daughter actually is hearing impaired, so they would sign language anyway. And I really liked the use of sound for a movie that didn't have much dialogue. The use of sound was actually really well done, where if you were looking at her and you were kind of with her thoughts, you got nothing. It was muddled to the point of nothing, because she's hearing impaired. And John Krasinski's, his major thing is, while he's trying to study these aliens or these creatures, and I guess in the on some of the newspapers it said a meteor hit, so it looks like these things did come from space. So as he's trying to deal with these aliens, trying to figure out their weakness, study them, he's also working on trying to get a better hearing aid or a cochlear implant for his daughter. He's been working on it. He finally gives her one. Now, she's been blaming herself for her brother's death all this time. So she's kind of like angsty, just kind of unhappy kid. She doesn't want the hearing aid from her. Her dad is not going to work, and the dad at one point wants to take the son. Am I going to go through the whole movie? I feel like I'm chopping it up. I just finished it, but I feel like I'm sucking and talking about it. But I like that he takes the son fishing, and they go under a waterfall, and they can talk and be loud, and the kid was freaking out. Oh, my God, it's so windy. But John Krasinski's like, look, louder noises are what attracts it. They can't hear us. He knows. He's been studying these things. He knows. He has this whole setup where there's like a giant corn silo that he lights fires on top of, and you see all these other fires going on at night, showing there are other people, there are other encampments, things are going on. Later on in the movie, the girl lights the fire, and you see nothing. So you're thinking, okay, these creatures are getting to people and killing them. I'm all over the place, but it seemed like Emily Blunt had to be left alone a lot. So she's pregnant with a baby. That's usually how it works. And she's around the house doing laundry while the dad takes the son fishing, and the daughter's just pissed. So she goes and hangs out at where the gravesite of her son, of her brother. Now Emily Blunt's doing the laundry. She pulls on these steps. She pulls on the laundry bag, and it raises a nail. And the moment I saw that, I'm like, Jesus, just get this nail over with. You know what's going to happen. Just once it. Finally, she later steps on the nail. She breaks her water breaks. She steps on the nail. She's bleeding. I think she makes a big enough noise that these creatures are coming. Once the nail was stepped on, I was creeped out, but I was like, okay, relieved. We saw what happened. It happened. Bing, bang, boom. She has the baby, and it's like, oh no, babies cry. But they showed earlier this little basket with this little oxygen tank and this little mask, and they had this whole thing planned out. Bring this baby down into an insulated room, cover it with a mattress, light candles for some reason. I guess wouldn't that minimize the oxygen? I don't know if that's good. Put the mask on the baby so the baby has more oxygen. Put the baby in a basket, cover the baby, and it can cry, it can make noise. That's when they talked a little down there. But one thing we noticed is that the cochlear implant he was working on for his daughter has a weird like feedback. And the feedback seems to be fighting. It seems to bother these aliens. So, of course, they leave. He needs to go get the kids because at one point they're lighting off fireworks to bring the monsters away from the house, and the kids get separated. John Krasinski needs to go out and get the kids. At the same time, a pipe breaks and water starts filling up the area where Emily Blunt needs to be. I mean, it was just like a series of unfortunate events with monsters. John Krasinski gets to the kids. These monsters show up. He gets whacked by one of the monsters, and he probably already realizes he was not long for the world. So he just screams this primal scream, probably just letting out all the anger that he's had, everything, after he's telling the kids they love him. The aliens come, kill him. The kids get away, get back to the house, and then they realize, with Emily Blunt, that the frequency is what bothers these aliens. She amplifies the frequency, puts it on the speaker. The aliens start running away. Emily Blunt shoots one in the head. And the movie ends with the daughter realizing what she has, this frequency, this noise, this like feedback is what bothers them, almost kills them, and it hurts them. And with that, Emily Blunt takes the shotgun and goes, and the movie ends. And it looks like they're already filming part 2 right now with Cillian Murphy, a great actor, and that same guy, Brian Tyler something. He's a big boy in Atlanta. He was just in the Child's Play movie. He's going to be in this. I'm telling you, this guy's going places. They're filming that now. I don't know what the hell. John Krasinski is directing it. He is one of the writers on it again, and but he's not going to be in it. So we'll see how this one does. We'll see what happens. It looks like it's coming out next year. I'm just glad that I saw it. Again, I just liked a simple premise. It doesn't knock you over the head, explaining where these things come from, explaining why they have sound receptors in their ear, in their heads, and they're blind, blah, blah, blah. It just kind of shows you. And you figure it out for yourself. Smart people can figure this stuff out. You don't have to be told everything. That's what I like about movies. There's very little told. You're just shown this stuff. Very good. I liked reading the trivia about, like, you know, the guys who wrote the original screenplay. There was one word of dialogue in the whole screenplay. I think John Krasinski helped, you know, shape the screenplay into what it was. At one point, Paramount was thinking of making this into, like, forming this into the Cloverfield universe. And when you look at the aliens, you say, oh, I could believe that. But they're glad that they didn't. They just let this alone be their own thing. I feel like if it was part of the Cloverfield universe, if they kind of like brought it in at some point, I hate to say it, but I feel like it would cheapen the movie or make it a little less like, oh, it's just another monster movie with, you know, these giant monsters again. They did that with the Cloverfield Paradox. They just kind of snuck a Cloverfield. They took a movie and they slapped Cloverfield on it basically at the end. That's at least that's how I saw it. This was a good standalone original movie. Again, the premise. You know, I hear Bird Box is similar where there's these creatures or something that if you see them, you see your worst death. I don't know. I don't know how that could be similar to this. I might watch that again someday. Maybe not for movie month, but I'm glad I watched this first. I'm glad I chose this movie. What else? I don't know what else. I've only gone for close to 15 minutes, but I mean, what can I say? There's not a lot of dialogue to discuss. The acting was superb. I got angry at the kids at first. I'm like, come on, these kids are they're getting in the way. These freaking kids making noises, stinking kids. But, you know, maybe it's because I don't have kids. But the kids were really good actors. And the actress who played the daughter, she's hearing impaired in real life. So it was just... and I thought she was the brother of the kid from Stranger Things. They very similar. They look the same, but they're not. Oh, it's very windy out. I feel like if I make a noise, like something's going to come out of the woods. Where I'm standing right now, I'm standing behind a tree. I have my house on one side, and then right in front of me is just woods. A coyote or a bear or a giant spider monster could come out right now and drag me into the woods, and no one would know. Nobody would know. I'd be, you know, maybe my wife would come out later and find the recorder standing there with some blood on it. And she'd be like, oh, man, what happened? Anyway, come on, dog, let's go see my parents. I assume she'd still go. She'd probably at least, you know, call the papers or call the police. Yeah, I'm rambling now because it's tough when there's a movie that is really good, but it's very simple. And it's just worth watching. If you have Hulu and you haven't seen this movie, give it a try. I don't think you'd be disappointed. Very good. Yeah, what else? I'm leaving pretty soon to go drive up to Laconia, New Hampshire, to go see my in-laws, which means tomorrow's movie will be at my in-laws' house. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. Now, I can't go to the movie theater up there. I mean, I could. There's a theater up there that MoviePass uses. But I don't think going up to their house where there's like... They like live in... It's not a retirement community, but there's a lot of older people up there, and you can take the golf cart and drive it down to the beach or the pool. It's pretty sweet. Mind you, as long as the weather's good. If the weather's bad, then I'm in their house. I mean, and there's no beach. And there's no pool. There is Fun Spot. If you've ever heard of Fun Spot in New Hampshire, look it up. Fun Spot, New Hampshire, the world's largest arcade. I haven't been there in a while. I feel like I should go up there. And it'd be cool if I actually watched my movie and then podcast it from Fun Spot. Try to figure that out. But at the same time, not avoid going to the beach with my wife, because that's the point of this little thing, to have a nice little relaxing vacation. I'm still on vacation. This is Sunday. I've been off since... a week. I had last week off. I had Thursday and Friday the previous week off, and I have all next week off. And then the week after that, I'm going to be working from home because it's 4th of July week. That's a short week. So I got a lot of work to catch up on, but only 3 days to do it, and I don't have to go in to do it. Yeah, I'm rambling now. Folks, thank you for listening. My name is Mike. You can find me on Twitter at Geek Mentality and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. The podcast is called Geek Mentality. If you search Geek Mentality, 2 words, you'll find the podcast. But the Instagram and the Twitter, all one word, Geek Mentality. We have a Facebook page. It's Fans Not Experts. That covers everything we have on the website. We have a wrestling podcast. We have a Metallica podcast. We have a death metal podcast. We have an Iron Maiden podcast. We have a Mad Men podcast. There's a hair metal podcast that I need to get back to working on. There's a Stranger Things podcast that's going to be coming back very soon because it's almost time for season 3. We have a lot of things going there. If you find everything, you can follow Fans Not Experts on Facebook or just go to fansnotexperts.com. There's a link there for podcasts. It shows all the podcasts where you can easily subscribe through Spotify or through Apple Podcast. I was going to say iTunes, but that's almost gone. Yeah, I think I'm done. It's almost like I feel like it should be quiet and I shouldn't play my theme song, but, you know, tradition is tradition. And as this is the end of day 23, and this is the end of this podcast, I want to say, everybody, I will see you tomorrow. But until then, can I think of anything else from this movie? It's like when I watch it, I go, oh, I'd like to bring that up. And then I forget, and then later I go, man, I forgot to bring that up. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I liked how they just used newspaper clippings to tell us what was going on. I thought that was cool. Again, show me, don't tell me. Yeah. I think that's it. Okay. So be very, very quiet. Don't make a sound. Because then, you know, those alien giant monsters. Oh, I did like that they said the monster design wasn't really finalized until, you know, well into post-production. And I also saw that John Krasinski got into one of the motion capture suits at one point. So that's cool. Just a little trivia. IMDb trivia is pretty good. Oh, my God, I'm too loud. Oh, my God, it's coming. There's a monster coming. Okay, I'm just hitting a tree. And I just said monster with the most Boston accent ever. Monster. You ever watch Jaws? I like to say that's the accent where the kid goes, I got bit by a vampire. Anyway, I think I'm done. Until tomorrow. Here is my theme song. This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time. And I'm kinda handsome, my mom says. Please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.